Since its original debut, the Miata has been the gold standard for affordable driving entertainment. The latest model impressed me enough that I went out and bought one myself. But there is one car that every time I drive it makes me wonder if I made the right decision. A couple of years ago, I drove the Subaru and the Mazda MX-5 back-to-back, and since then, my perspective has changed, as well as the GR86. Toyota says that the refresh changed the throttle mapping, as well as the torque control, which effectively makes downshifts easier because the throttle can blip up quicker, it's more responsive, and it's also supposed to make the right pedal's response feel more direct. And honestly, without driving them back to back, I still can feel a difference with how fast the pedal responds to my inputs, especially with downshifts. And Toyota also says they've retuned the steering and the shocks with the hopes of improving the handling of an already excellent track or back road companion. The MX-5 places more emphasis on fun than performance. It's a different approach to a sports car, yet the price tag remains similar. Before we continue, if you enjoy fun, detailed car content, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. It may seem small, but it helps open the door to more opportunities. Thank you. Under the hood is a 2.4-liter naturally aspirated boxer 4, making 228 horsepower. While it is not fixated on outright speed, launch it right, and this can get to 60 in under 6 seconds. And with a standard rear limited slip differential, if you want it to go sideways, this has enough ponies to do that. Today, most EV crossovers will clown the GR86 in a straight line, but the Toyota makes up for it in theatrics. You have a 7,500 RPM red line, which is just a blast to access. Even if that fake engine noise sounds like it was pulled from an arcade game. To keep the 2.4-liter in its sweet spot, we have a close ratio 6-speed manual. The clutch pedal travel is very short. The shift throw is also short, especially if you go with the short throw kit. If you like the notchy feel of a Subaru gearbox, you're going to be a fan of this. The clutch takes a little bit more getting used to. The friction zone isn't super wide, but once you get used to it, smooth driving isn't too difficult. You can also opt for a 6-speed automatic, which is a refined gearbox, but it doesn't quite fit this car. See, the gear ratios are noticeably taller than that of the 3-pedal model, which makes it noticeably slower and takes away part of the car's personality, in my opinion. Toyota needs to improve the gearing of that transmission before I'd feel enthusiastic about telling someone to go buy an Auto 86. The powertrain is not why the GR86 is destined to be an icon. Instead, it's the handling. The way that this turns in is insane for the money. It's so sharp. It's precise, and the level of stability that it has gives it a forgiveness that I think would be just awesome. To learn and get better at track driving with. I've gotten the chance to drive these on the track and on an autocross course, and despite not having a whole lot of experience myself, I felt so confident with this car. And Toyota also offers a wide variety of enhancements. There's the Brembo brakes and shock stamping of the Performance Pack, which also upgrades the wheels and tires if you have the base trim. Then there are even stiffer sway bars, as well as a chassis brace to further flatten the handling, all of which my tester has equipped. I would like to point out that the 86 is riding on a little more sticky and firm rubber than my Miata, which is running a high-performance Continental all-season today. The steering provides a good amount of feedback for an electric unit. The weight builds up nicely in heft as you pick up speed and load it up through corners. It's just a good time all around. I think for the intended goal of this car, the execution was near flawless from a driving dynamic standpoint. And the shocking thing is, taking this over a really quite nasty road, the GR86, while very firm, is civilized. There are a few things that will actually generate a sharp impact into the cabin. Obviously, you hit a giant pothole, you're gonna feel it, and you're also just in general going to feel the pavement beneath you. That's kind of the point with a sports car. But I like that this is never really punishing. Now, I think it's important to bring up the Subaru BR-Z here, because that's the main advantage to the Subaru. It is just a little bit softer, a little bit better at isolating you from the pavement. So I think for a lot of people, that's actually gonna be a better compromise for a daily driver. But no matter which Toyota you choose, you're not escaping noise. This is a loud car, especially with the optional performance exhaust that I have here. It does sound nice, but it does drone a bit. It doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of sound deadening either. And if you're going with the manual transmission on the highway, it will rev quite high too. And another thing that makes this easy to drive day in, day out, at least for me, is the visibility. Looking out of this thing, the beltline doesn't slope up too dramatically like it does in the Supra, so I can look over my shoulder without too much difficulty. The dashboard, the hood are fairly low. There's no giant touch screen kind of sitting up blocking my view, or even just making it feel closed off. Like the vibes in here are more open. It kind of feels like an older car in that way, which is very much a compliment. A lot of the handling magic of the Toyota comes from its lightweight status. While this is considerably heavier than the Miata, this is just 2,800 pounds. Ideally, this would also help it get better gas mileage. In the real world, if you have a light foot on the highway, you can get 30 miles to the gallon. The EPA does not rate this thing all that well. And to make matters more pricey, Toyota is going to recommend that you put premium fuel in here. That's where today's sponsor, Upside, could help out. If you're watching this video, you probably like to drive and eat. And with Upside, you can earn cash back at the fuel pump, grocery store, and countless restaurants. Fuel prices can be a jump scare. That's why I personally use Upside to earn cash back. It's very straightforward to use. You open the app, claim an offer, and then use your card like you normally do. Over 100,000 participating locations means that once you start checking the app, you realize how often there's an offer available where you're already going. No goofy points that you'll never use, no subscriptions, just money that you can transfer straight into your bank account. Upside has given back $1 billion to its users. To find out how much you could earn, download the free Upside app and use the code Realistick to earn 25% cash back on your first tank of fuel. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code Realistick. Thank you, Upside, for sponsoring today's video. While it wasn't a high priority for me when I was making a purchase, I do prefer the style of the MX-5. For me, it's more elegant, it's softer, and a little bit less like the GR86. Now, I will admit, I love how this looks from the rear end. I like the premium trim's duckbill spoiler, and no matter which one you go with, I think you're getting something that will age very well. Let me know your thoughts on the style. As for the features, each car packs proximity entry, blind spot monitoring, and excellent LED projector headlights. But only the MX-5 offers an auto-dimming driver's side mirror, something I appreciated after getting blinded in the GR86 on a regular basis. While you might look at both of these as impractical sports cars, the difference in versatility should not go understated. Even when I cargo max the Miata and I travel alone, sometimes creativity is just not enough. Anything bulky can be a problem. Going on a grocery trip, if you get paper towels, it's going to change the ride back. And oftentimes, if you have a passenger, they're going to be holding something for you. The GR86 can handle most daily tasks without a problem. If you're going to the track, Toyota loves to tout that you can carry an extra set of wheels and tires. While I've found that you can daily drive an MX-5, the GR86, depending on your responsibility level, requires little to no compromise. I say depending because even if you're hauling around children, the back seat might not be large enough. While there are child seat latches back there, if people are sitting in the front, you're gonna have next to no room for legs. It's really best used as a shelf. But I did find out that if you had an adult who is about 5'3" in the front, you can fit another adult who's about 5'3" in the back, and that is like the maximum. So if you're regularly hauling around shorties, the GR86 gets my stamp of approval. In the front seat, the GR86 is more spacious than the dimensions suggest. At 6'3", I can fit in here and even have a helmet on, which for me is kind of a big deal. I bought a car hoping that I could track it, and with the Miata, I have to get a seat lowering kit that still probably won't get me low enough to get underneath the roll bar. I also like how small the center tunnel is. I have plenty of space for my knees. I can heel toe downshift no problem, and the seat cushions themselves I've found to be supportive. Even on long journeys, they've posed very little issues for me. Now, if you're built a little wider than myself, these seats might be a little bit too snug for you, but for a production car, I've also found these cushions to hold me in nicely on a back road. The only thing I do wish to see here would be lumbar adjustment. Now, surprisingly, Toyota sent me the base model, which doesn't get some of the contrast stitching, doesn't have, heated front seats, or quite as nice of a sound system. But for me, this is actually still nice enough. No matter which GR86 you get, the cabin is comprised mostly of hard, dark plastics. The panel fitment isn't particularly great. The infotainment is slow and dated. There's USB-A ports only, and CarPlay, Android Auto are not wireless. But at least you do have automatic climate controls and a very straightforward layout. I love how simple this car is. I think it, again, just like the exterior, I think it's gonna age very well, especially if you can swap out this head unit. I'm glad that the climate controls aren't integrated into this like some other Subarus of this era. Now, compared to other cars that you might daily drive, storage in here is going to be limited. You got a nice sized glove compartment, but your center console is essentially 2 cup holders. I like that it's padded at least. Funny enough, giant water bottles will fit in the door pockets, and you get an extra cup holder in the automatic. While the Miata is only about 1.5 inches skinnier than the Toyota, the cabin feels so much more cramped. But if I have a more glass half full approach, I'd say that most of the time you're gonna want the top down anyway, which does wonders for fixing that sardine can feeling. If I was like 5'10", driving a Miata would feel like driving a fitted suit. And it feels more premium than that Toyota. There's more attention to detail. You have these color-keyed door cards, the chrome accenting, the nice stitching on most surfaces, better fit and finish all around. Yet, after just 7,000 miles, I've noticed quite a few rattles. The most annoying thing is that there's like a clicking right next to my ear from the soft top, and then there's, a rattle back here, and then a rattle kind of in like the door frame. And I do need to take it to the dealership to see if they can fix a few of these while the warranty is still in play, because it is kind of a letdown on an interior that otherwise feels very nice for the sub $40,000 price point that it's sitting in. And similar to the GR86, this also has an analog approach. Everything is very easy to adjust. There's nice tactile switches. And then for the infotainment, I really like that this can operate both as a touchscreen and through the control dial. See, the ride here is choppy, and it can be hard to try to pinpoint your finger. So just being able to quickly cycle between my navigation and my music is very convenient. You also have wireless CarPlay. The display and backup camera have better image quality than what's in the GR86. The tech is far from the focus of the cabin, but it's not a sore point. As for storage, there are a few small cubbies and a couple of removable cup holders. It's not much, but that hasn't been a problem for me. This is really a well-executed cabin with the obvious compromise in size. Now, for me, this has become an issue because, as I pointed out, my head does stick out above the roll bar. Though this has been crash tested in Europe and it seemed to perform pretty well. You do have side airbags built into the seat that cover your head, just in case you were wondering. I've gone down this rabbit hole before. I don't feel horribly unsafe in here, but I do hope that in the future Mazda maybe offers a factory lowering kit for their seats. That would be very nice for anyone that's over 6 feet, as I want more people to be able to enjoy this distinct driving experience. One of the most important ingredients to the MX-5 recipe is what lies under the hood. You're going to have a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline 4, and at this point we're probably all pretty familiar with this engine. It makes 181 horsepower up at 7,000 RPM, giving it on paper a similar power band to the Toyota, but this feels even more dead in the mid-range. You really need to spin this thing up to get it to hustle, and I am not complaining one bit about that. Why? Well, on top of the amusement of bringing an engine to a 7,500 RPM redline, you also have such a glorious gearbox. This 6-speed manual transmission is going to come standard on most Miatas. You can option a 6-speed automatic with the Grand Touring, but the aggressive gearing of the stick shift breathes more life into the engine. While you could bang it off of the rev limiter and hit 60 miles per hour in both of these cars without shifting twice, I didn't do that. The MX-5 keeps up, managing 6.2 seconds to 60 without rollout, but after that, the GR86 pulls harder. In almost any way that you can measure it, the MX-5 is not as capable as the GR86. It's all about making you feel like you're not driving a car, but that you are car. The gearbox it feels like it's directly connected to the soul of the Miata, whereas in the Toyota, it's more like you're just telling the car what gear to be in, and the feedback that you receive is simply there to confirm your selection. Even the clutch pedal gives you a bunch of feedback. It is super linear with how it engages, and everything just feels natural, and as a result, it's also an easy car to learn how to drive a manual in. It's just that communicative. This is also a great car to shift fast because the revs drop rapidly. There's no waiting around for revving like what you have with some other modern performance cars. Now, compared to the GR86, I think that car, especially from a low RPM, does rev up quicker. I think it generally makes downshifts easier. And on top of that, I think this engine note is a little bit more reminiscent of any other 4-pot. Whereas the Boxer 4 of the GR86 has a very specific grumble to it, whether you have that upgraded exhaust or not. The Miata and the 86 are completely different machines on a winding road as well. The Toyota offers eager handling, the Miata offers fluid handling. There is more body roll here, much more body roll than what you're going to get with the GR86. And this also has their performance suspension. It's a Bilstein setup that you're going to get on every MX-5 except for the base Sport. Mazda says that this thing has motion for a reason. It communicates everything about what the car is doing. And while I do agree, it certainly communicates the physics at hand. In my opinion, I could have had a little bit more body control and still had a good time with this. It just doesn't have as much confidence as I'd like on a track. But on a back road, it is just about perfect in my opinion. Because it weighs under 2,400 pounds, the MX-5 rotates through a corner like nothing else. You can very easily change the trajectory of the MX-5 with just the throttle pedal. Every reaction that it has
feels so natural. Go with anything but the sport trim or an automatic, and you will have a limited slip differential. And it does a remarkable job of pulling you through a corner without generating oversteer. In 2024, they actually revised this differential so that it would lock up a little bit earlier as you're entering a corner, with the hopes to keep things a little bit more stable. Personally, I've still noticed it wanting to rotate under entry. This thing just wants to turn, and working even more into that is the short wheelbase. It's just, I think it's like 90 inches. It makes it feel more playful than the Toyota. I know that I'm not able to go as fast, carry as much speed through a corner. It's also not as tail happy, but you probably shouldn't be doing that on public roads anyway, and that would also make you slower around a track. So I have to save my Tokyo aspirations for another vehicle on another day. For this ND3 generation, on top of that differential upgrade, they also revised the rack to make it a little bit more defined on center, and I've driven it back to back with the ND2, and it did make a difference.
It's accurate. Combine that with a slow ratio, and the MX-5 is incredibly predictable below its limits. Push it harder, and that soft suspension starts to lose its cool. The steering at least communicates what's happening.
It's got a good amount of feedback. It's not, 90s hydraulic power steering Miata, but for a new vehicle, I can't really imagine myself asking for more communication. And it almost goes without saying, dropping the top of the MX-5 is just a huge advantage over the Toyota. I mean, it immediately connects you to your surroundings, and it improves your visibility. I mean, like now I can see everything. The belt line here is also nice and low. I think the only problem that I've had is that the mirror, being a taller person, the mirror really blocks out what's on the passenger side front. I honestly have to duck my head down every time I pull up to a stop sign to make sure that there's not a car sitting right there.
And if the top is up, over-the-shoulder visibility is laughable. Still, the MX-5 provides a tolerable daily driving experience. It's a breeze to park due to what might be the tightest turning circle of any car in the US market. The compliant ride doesn't beat you up over city pavement.
Like it's definitely softer than the GR86, especially with the GR86 with the performance package, but it's going to be choppy. A lot of small movements that can get old during longer commutes or road trips especially. The Grand Touring does give you a thicker soft top, and I've found that this is actually quieter than the hard top. Surprised me, but it's still going to be noisy. Compared to the GR86 without the performance exhaust, it's going to be a little bit louder, but the difference is not really that significant. With the top up or down, I've also been pleasantly surprised by the Bose sound system in here. It's punchy, it's crisp. The headrest speakers help you at least hear most of your music when the roof has exited the chat. You're also going to have excellent gas mileage and low running costs as a whole. Like the Toyota, this is going to recommend premium fuel, and I follow that advice 95% of the time, but if I am going on a long road trip, I will just throw regular fuel in it. I haven't noticed any problem. It saves me about $9 per tank. The engine will pull timings in order to prevent any pre-ignition. And if I keep my speed below 70 miles per hour, I can typically get about 40 miles per gallon, which I suppose you would expect in a car this small, but when compared to any other sports car, this is going to be basically the cheapest to run. The tire size here also makes for very cheap replacements, and the low weight should also keep your consumables from wearing out as fast on the track. Another thing that the MX-5 is known for is reliability. The 2-liter inline-4 is robust. The car itself is durable, but there are weak points with both the MX-5 and the GR86.
The Mazda has had reports of transmission failure at low mileage, especially for model years 2022 and 2023. There are different theories as to why that is. So far, my car has had no such problem, but I can confirm the complaints over easily chipping paint and rattles. The Toyota suffered some engine failures that are well documented over on the NHTSA and forums. That was mostly reported in the 2022 model year and typically happened on track due to oil starvation from high Gs. Excess RTV falling off and getting caught in the oil pickup tube doesn't help circulation either. It's important to note that plenty of people have driven these on-road courses without any issues, and now there are aftermarket solutions to also help. Taking a step back, both the MX-5 and GR86 have high owner satisfaction rates. Most people aren't running into bad powertrains. I'd be comfortable recommending either to the person that cares about longevity, even if I trust the Mazda a little more personally.
I can't help but feel some buyer's remorse when I drive the GR86. That's because it is the complete package. It is capable on a track, it's fun on a back road, not to mention it can accommodate drivers over 6 feet without making them sacrifice their comfort or their cranium. If you're after a sports car that can truly do it all, you would be better off not even driving the MX-5. Because if you do, you might just fall in love with it. And that is my problem, because to be honest, this does not suit my needs. It is much less practical as an only car. It is a moderate pain to drive long distances. It is not as capable and forgiving as the GR86 is on track, and I can't even take it to the track because I'm too damn tall for it. And all of that said, if someone offered me the keys today to a Toyota GR86 or a Subaru BR-Z for that matter, I'd still take home the Miata. It's more playful, it's more mechanical, it's more immersive. There's just a personality here that I have not been able to find in any other new car that I could come close to affording. So for now, the Mazda is going to stay in my theoretical garage. But it's good to know that there is one hell of an alternative if life ever throws more responsibilities my way. Thanks for watching. And thank you to my channel members for helping me improve my videos. Consider joining for additional content, and I'll catch you in the next one.
And use promo code Realistick. I'm getting deja vu.
But first, a few words from today's sponsor, the Ridge Wallet. Use code CLOUTBANG for 15% off.